How important is it to have a sense, a purpose, a mission in life? This week's Torah portion of Parshat Lech Lecha introduces us to Avraham Avinu. Now, all of us are familiar with the story where Avraham thwarts the efforts of idolatry and he breaks the idols of his father. But the Medrash also tells us a famous story that all of us know about, that Nimrod took Avraham and told him, either you worship the idols or I'm throwing you in a furnace and you're going to lose your life. And Avraham says, throw away. And he casts him into the furnace and Avraham emerges and he's alive. And this demonstrates his commitment to God. But one of the questions that we could ask, and it's posed by Rabbi Natan Lopez Cardozo, he asks, why doesn't the Torah itself write this story in it? Why is it not part of the literature, of the liturgy, and the words in the Torah? It's an amazing story. It demonstrates Abraham's loyalty to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to God above. And Rabbi Cardozo explains that any story, this story, is Avraham's personal mission. It was his personal way of demonstrating, transmitting a message to Nimrod. It was his way. Yes, granted, it was a message of loyalty to God and commitment to monotheism, but it was his own personal story. It demonstrated his commitment to himself, to his future mission. Anything the Torah says is with regards to Avraham's mission to God, Avraham's mission to a purpose, Avraham's mission to a nation, to a future, to perpetuation, to future generations, and to transmitting a message that ultimately will affect an entire peoplehood. And for that reason, this story is left out. Any story that has to do with Abraham's commitment to God has to do with his commitment to a purpose that is on a national premise, the premise of protecting, evolving, and ultimately revealing an entire people, a nation that subscribes to God. Let us understand what the message, therefore, is for us in this week's Torah portion. Every person needs a mission. That mission needs to have an ideology. It needs to subscribe to a greater purpose, not a purpose that is personal, not as something that is a personal agenda or affects me individually, but rather something that will evolve, that will springboard and catapult me or my mission into something that is national, into a purpose that is for others. People who are dealing with mental health, I've said many times, need purpose. But that purpose needs to evolve into something whereby they help others, or whereby they understand, and we understand as individuals, that what we do in our lives ultimately is to help and serve a kindness, an ideology, a subscription towards that greater aspiration. And so it should be for all of us to understand and ask ourselves, are we doing things for our own persona, for our own personal agenda, or is it on a greater scale, like Avraham Avinu, Abraham, our forefather, that we learn from, for the sake of the greater cause, for the sake of our people, for the sake of our nation? Many facets of the people within us, in Israel, do not necessarily understand this. It is something that we are expected to embrace, understand, and put forward for the sake of our future. Shabbat Shalom.